Hello, I am Tato Cat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Asphyxia. Meant to record this earlier, but I was in the middle of a blackout. Super fun. Let's not do it again. Had enough fun. Previously, we got lost in the woods with our group, got into a fight with our best friend, got separated from our best friend, found the lake, found our old best friend, and now we're talking to her. It's pretty much what happened. Also, Georgia's a terrible person. And that's about it. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, indeed. This person is much more irritating, even than you. It's hard to believe. I know, but it's true.
Samantha laughed.
You're not talking about DeQuincy, are you? The one and only. However, did you guess?
Well, you said somebody more irritating than me, which instantly narrows down the list of potential suspects. As Georgia is in my group, she spent the last half hour antagonizing Roberta. I knew it couldn't be her.
Good God, DeQuincy must be a pain if even you realize it, Sam.
She can be quite intense at times.
Like crying over visual novels.
And then making people think that it was more than just a visual novel.
Intense isn't the right word. She's utterly infuriating. She follows me around like a golden retriever everywhere I go. And she keeps taking photos too. I'm surprised she hasn't asked for a blood sample yet. Or a hair from my head.
She's probably already taken them without your permission. Yep.
Maybe she takes them when you're asleep, then writes about it on her blog? Please don't remind me about her blog. How could I not? It was so incredible. I think about it at least once every day. I'm sure she posted enough personal information about me on there to warrant a restraining order. At least she has good taste. Clearly she recognizes your genius. She's a big fan of your poetry, you know? I know. I'm proud in the sense that my writing was able to leave such a lasting impact on somebody, but
Lillian pulled a face.
It becomes unsettling when it's at the expense of my personal privacy.
I know, but don't worry. I think she's taken down that blog now.
Are you sure?
I asked her. I didn't think she'd listen to me. She never seems to listen to anybody. But I think it did the trick. How were you able to shake DeQuincy off anyway? She's so devoted. I'm surprised she didn't follow you here.
Well, I am not particularly proud of my actions.
Oh? Samantha grinned.
Did you do something underhanded, Lillian? I simply did what needed to be done. If I had not extracted myself from the situation, I fear I would have acted in a way I would later regret.
You can try to dress it up however you want, but you're only making me more and more curious. What exactly did you do?
Well, I might have bumped into her while we were walking, quite accidentally, of course.
Of course.
And because of this purely accidental, unavoidable event, she might have fallen over and twisted her ankle.
Ooh! Samantha whistled, impressed despite herself.
She must have fallen pretty hard. Hard enough.
Doesn't that count as assault?
It wasn't assault. I already told you, it was an accident. I feel a great deal of remorse about it. Oh, I'm sure you do.
Though Samantha found it amusing, this was rather unexpected news. Lillian was usually too disaffected to allow other people to get under her skin like that. De Quincey really must have been annoying her for the unruffable Lillian to resort to violence. Though Samantha's own relationship with De Quincey was complicated, she found herself unsure whether or not she should, or indeed could, commend Lillian's actions. Was she going to let Lillian get away with such an underhanded act? We've been so nice to De Quincey since the beginning of this game. I feel like we're kind of on her path, so to agree with Lillian would kind of take us off her path, and then we're not going to get any kind of ending. So let's yell at Lillian.
Silly Lily.
Samantha chided Lillian gently while smiling.
If accidents didn't count as crimes, manslaughters wouldn't be illegal.
Samantha meant this as a joke, but Lillian dismissed it with a disdainful frown.
Oh, don't be so melodramatic. I didn't kill her. I didn't even leave a scratch on her. That girl is incredibly durable. Well, I'll be the first to attest to that.
Lillian hadn't seen how much De Quincey could drink before she threw it all back up, like Samantha had.
And after De Quincey had the most unfortunate fall and tragically twisted her poor ankle, I offered to find a teacher and inform them of the accident, like the good Samaritan I am. You mean you ran away? Please, don't make me sound so irresponsible. I was not running away. I do not run away from my problems. Goodness, you're so shameless, Lillian.
Samantha exclaimed thus, with a laugh.
I thought you of all people would be a stickler for the school rules, being head of the student council and all. I am. Some rules must be bent to preserve the peace. That's how democracy works. How corrupt! It's no wonder Georgia is so disillusioned with you. I thought you said you were going to help us poor students when you became the head of the student council, not oppress us with brute force. Georgia is disillusioned about everything. She's even disillusioned about being disillusioned. I have no desire to cater to fools who wish to cause trouble for the sake of it. Did she really try to sneak a bear into her dorm? She tried to argue on behalf of it, and so passionately too. I was almost moved to tears. You say that, yet your expression is awfully dour. Naturally, I was being sarcastic.
What? Samantha reeled in faux surprise, her eyes wide.
You? Sarcastic? But isn't sarcasm the lowest form of wit?
How dare you? Sarcasm is, its own language, and I am fluent in it.
Some situations are so ridiculous, they deserve nothing more than sarcasm.
Samantha snickered.
You're becoming awfully conservative in your old age. Don't be facetious. I'm only a couple months older than you.
Lillian leant in, then flicked Samantha's forehead with her thumb and index finger.
Ow!
Samantha recoiled, her forehead smarting from that unexpected blow. Was that really necessary? Lillian's fingernails were carefully groomed and filed to perfection, unlike Samantha's, which were little more than bitten stumps. Being flicked by Lillian's far superior fingernails, even in an act of playful jest, was quite painful. Those in power always seemed to punch downwards. Samantha knew she ought to have been perturbed, but despite that, she still found herself smiling. She could hardly believe it. She was actually talking to Lillian. They were having a conversation, and they were actually getting along with one another. It felt like a miracle. But oh, how easily Samantha found it to be happy when they were together. Without Lillian, Samantha couldn't smile or laugh. She could hardly even speak. Now that she was with Lillian, however, conversation came to her so easily. She felt more assured of her words. as though they truly did belong to her, and she meant every single thing she said. She had found her voice again. Awry like Ariel, being with Lillian gave her a purpose. The other girl brought her joy as nothing else did. The thought of losing her again, after they had been able to reconnect, was a painful one, so much so that Samantha's eyes began to cloud anew with tears.
Sam?
Frowning, Lillian leant in and observed the face of her once dear friend.
What is it? I
Samantha sniffed, wiping her tears with the back of her arm. She had cried so much today, she was beginning to feel like a prune, distinctly desiccated, all dried out. Inwardly, Samantha cursed herself. She only just managed to rekindle her dying relationship with Lillian, and already she was spoiling it. She just couldn't let herself enjoy the moment, could she? Like a Puritan, she always had to throw the things that made her happy away. She was making herself look weak, stupid, pathetic, and she couldn't stop herself. Because that was what she really was. She was weak. She was stupid. She was pathetic. She couldn't stop crying.
I'm sorry, Lillian. I feel a little overwhelmed, that's all. Overwhelmed? Why? Was our talk about my corrupt conservative policies that depressing? No, that's not it. Then what is? I don't know. Can't really explain it. You can always try. But
Lillian sighed.
We've been through this before, many times, Samantha. How can I ever hope to understand how you feel if you never explained yourself properly to me? De Quincy seems to revere me as some kind of goddess, but I can't read minds. And certainly, I can't help you unless you choose to enlighten me. But I thought it was because I kept trying to enlighten you, as you put it, that you...
Lillian raised an eyebrow.
That I what? You...
Samantha bit down on her lower lip. Her shoulders trembled. Why had their conversation taken such a turn for the serious? Samantha didn't cope well with serious things. She preferred to be frivolous, mainly because she never seemed to have any cause herself to be happy. What was she do say? What was she do say? What was she to say? Is that what that was supposed to be? Confided in Lillian, tried to change the subject. Changing the subject's not going to get us anywhere. Samantha knew the following words were going to be painful, but how could she continue to sit there conversing with Lillian without bringing the subject to light? It was inevitable that it would come to the surface eventually, for Samantha had thought of it almost incessantly ever since Christmas. She had been incapable of thinking about anything else.
I thought it was because I kept bothering you with my troubles that you stopped wanting to talk to me.
Samantha sniffed. Her body racked with sobs. Tears which had once been born from relief and happiness had turned bitter. Lillian watched her impassively. For a few moments neither girl spoke until Lillian, her brow furrowed, broke the silence.
I know what you think, but I didn't stop talking to you because you were depressed.
She frowned.
Not entirely, at least. What? Then why? Did I start avoiding you? Yes. Won't you tell me? I can, if you would like me to. But I doubt any answer I could give would satisfy you. It's alright. I know I can be quite a difficult person. And very little has satisfied me lately. I have no expectations that this will... Well,
Lillian exhaled, her arms wound about her knees.
I stopped talking to you because you were upsetting me. I was?
Lillian nodded.
This whole ordeal has been upsetting in general, particularly given it happened over Christmas. I asked you many times why you were so sad, but even though you gave me answers, they weren't answers I could understand. You said that you felt lonely, regardless of how much time I spent with you. What more could I have done, really, than what I did? It seems that no matter how hard I tried to console you, I couldn't make a real difference. Spending time with you began to feel like an exercise in futility, and you know how I feel about wasting my time. Every time I saw you, I felt even worse. I know you had a difficult time, but I did too. Watching you suffer as you were, it was exhausting. I see. I thought you might have felt like that, but Lilly,
Samantha sniffled.
that isn't true, what you said. What part? That you didn't make a difference. You mightn't have realized it. God knows. I was in a bad state back then, but spending time with you really did help me. Having you by my side made me feel like you wanted me, that you needed me. You gave my existence some manner of meaning, where nothing else did. Your existence has meaning whether I'm with you or not. You shouldn't base your own self-worth around my opinions. That isn't healthy.
Well, she's also depressed, so she finds something and clings to it because she's got nothing else going for her in her head.
I know it isn't healthy. Do you think I'm not aware? I'm not stupid, Lillian. I don't mean to boast, but my intellect is fairly sharp, which makes me feel even more dejected when I consider just how little I've done with it. I know what I should do to cheer myself up. It's all common sense, really. Make sure to eat 3 meals a day. Go to bed before 6 in the morning. Don't drink too much. It's bad for you. I'm aware of all of that. Then, why don't you follow these helpful life lessons?
Because she's depressed. When you're depressed, you lose your will to do everything.
Well,
Samantha flinched.
I've been trying. When it comes to the last point, at least, I do my best. I really do. And just how much is your best? Well,
Samantha pulled a face.
I haven't had anything alcoholic in the last 2 months at least.
Although this self-imposed prohibition was not entirely because of Samantha's own strength of will, but because she had felt too uneasy to ask De Quincy for any favors lately. Lillian didn't need to know about these finer points, however.
2 months,
Lillian considered, on one hand beneath her chin.
I suppose that is fairly stringent for you. I'm surprised.
Samantha laughed weakly.
I'm unsure if I should be offended that you expect so little from me.
Samantha's hand fisted at the hem of her skirt, tugging the material taut between her fingers.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be a disappointment, Lily. I really have missed you. Not being able to talk to you or spend time with you, it's been hard on me. When I saw you again and we started to talk just like this, not about anything in particular, I can't tell you how happy it makes me, even though you might not think it to look at me. There are things in this world not even you can pin down with words? How shocking. I'll take that as a compliment. But I am happy, happier than I have been in, well, I don't know, for a long while. I can hardly understand it myself.
Samantha smiled wanly, her face soaked with tears as she shook her head.
I never seem to understand my own emotions. Maybe I never will. I have no idea who I am, really, regardless of all the soul searching I do. But though I don't know who I am, I know how I feel. And I know that I'm so happy to see you again right now. That is overwhelming, almost scary. That's why I started to cry, I think.
What? Lillian raised an eyebrow.
You were crying because you were happy? Yes, but it's more than that. It's because, well,
Samantha swallowed.
it's because I missed you. You say that, but you don't sound happy, not to me. If you want my opinion, I think you sound perfectly miserable.
Well, that's just from your narrow point of view. She might be miserable, but she's slightly less miserable with you around.
I'm experiencing a strange mixture of emotions right now. It's hard to describe them. It's hard for me to follow them. Yes, I did worry this might happen. I'm sorry, Lily.
Samantha sighed.
I know I must be a pain. One of the biggest I know.
Lillian frowned, brushing a strand of blonde hair behind her ear.
I'm sorry, Sam. This isn't because I don't like you, but
Samantha didn't like the sound of that but, and neither did she care for that ominous pause. She stared at Lillian with her eyes wide. What would she do if Lillian rejected her again? They'd only just begun to reconnect after 3 months of complete silence. And to what end? Was it all going to end here? Samantha didn't want that to happen. She couldn't let it happen. She would drag the mutilated, malformed remains of their relationship out from underneath the rubble that had accumulated over the past 3 months, even if it killed her. If she couldn't, then it really might.
Lily, please.
Samantha heard her voice crack like an old vase, or a teenage boy's. She sounded pathetic, even to her own ears. But when didn't she? Who cared if she had to beg? She had no self-esteem left to throw away. It would not make a shred of difference to her.
Lily, please. Please reconsider. I missed you so much. Don't leave me alone again, please. I don't think I could stand it. I'm sorry, Samantha, but this is why I stopped talking to you in the first place. You value me far too highly, and though it is somewhat flattering, I don't think it's good for you. You shouldn't obsess over me so much. It makes me uncomfortable, and it makes you unhappy. No, that's not true. It can't be true. You're wrong. I'm the happiest it is possible for me to be when I'm with you. I feel miserable when I'm on my own, utterly miserable. These last 3 months, if I weren't such a coward, I doubt I'd be sitting here right now. Yes, I was afraid of that. Is that why you cut all your beautiful hair? Because you were depressed? That's right.
Samantha hung her head, her face flushing. She hadn't told anybody of the real reason behind her drastic change in appearance. But Lillian had guessed it all the same. Lillian knew her far too well. She could read her like a book, perusing through the pages of her heart whenever it suited her. If only Samantha could do the same with Lillian. Even after all the years they had been friends, Samantha still didn't understand Lillian at all.
I thought about cutting somewhere else, but I don't know.
Samantha bit her lower lip.
I couldn't in the end. Though, I thought about it for a long time. I suppose I'm too much of a failure to even kill myself properly. Don't be so ridiculous, Sam. I can't help it. I was born ridiculous. That's just the way I am.
Lillian sighed. Her expression was still soft, but her tone, when next she spoke, was stern, like that of a school teacher reprimanding an unruly student. Please, don't be so defeatist. There's always something you can do.
That's true. Being with you always made me happier, but this isn't going to cut it. It's not a permanent solution to your current problems, and you know it. I am not always going to be here for you. We're going to graduate next year. We might never see one another again. What will you do then?
I guess this is a tough love situation of where they're just draining too much from each other. And poor Samantha's just clinging on to her with everything. And not everybody can handle that.
I was trying not to think about that. I'm not surprised. You never think in the long term. Look,
Lillian frowned.
I don't think our friendship is working out. You're far too desperate, and I can't give you what you want. You don't need me, no matter how much you tell yourself you do. What you need is to see a therapist. And you could stand to have a healthier sleeping cycle, too.
No. This was not how it was supposed to go. This wasn't what she wanted. The main reason Samantha had even gone on this field trip, even though she had been feeling so crushingly miserable lately, is it had been an effort to simply drag herself out of bed, was so she could see Lillian. She had hoped dimly in the back of her mind that all was not lost, that they could still fix things. Now, Samantha saw that all her hopes had been in vain. She had ruined everything.
Lily, do you really no longer want to be my friend? It isn't that I don't want to. I can't. Can't? No.
Lillian shook her head.
Dealing with you is exhausting, and it upsets me, and it's infuriating that you don't even try to get better.
Ooh, well, this can't go well for us.
Let's see what happens in the next episode.
Will she find a new friend after this, or will we have a bad ending? If you haven't already, comment, subscribe, and have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.